What's good, everyone? So I wanted to do a quick follow-up video. I'm coming up on 1 year and about 15,000 miles with this 2011 Range Rover Sport, and yeah, I wanted to kind of give my thoughts and review kind of like my my experience with this car, as someone who daily drives this, and wanted to talk through my experience as to what it's like to daily drive this car, and also my ownership experience over the last year with this car. The first thing we should talk about is this car reliable? Has it been a maintenance nightmare? Has it been extremely expensive to maintain? Let's talk about it. So, what is reliability? So, in my opinion, reliability is a design flaw. It's a mechanical failure. It's kind of like it's a failure from an engineering standpoint. Reliability to me means the car can just break down at any moment for any given reason at any time. And the truth is, this car, if maintained well, if kept up to service, if kept up to date, if you're constantly replacing parts and you're being mindful of the wear and tear items on this car, then it won't just leave you stranded on the side of the road for no reason. And so this car, for example, will give you a lot of warning signs that something is wrong or is about to go wrong. So if there's something wrong with your air suspension, you'll see faults on the dash, you'll see errors. If you begin to develop coolant leaks or oil leaks, you will see that on your driveway. You'll see a puddle forming. You'll begin to smell oil leak, kind of like that burning oil smell. And so, as far as reliability is concerned, this car is actually really reliable. However, it is a high maintenance car, and there's a difference. So if you maintain this car well, you change the oil at regular oil change intervals, like 5,000 miles or less. You're constantly keeping an eye on cooling system components like the water pump, the thermostat, the expansion tank, the various hoses. You're keeping an eye out for oil leaks that come, whether it's your oil pan gasket, your valve cover gasket, and you're listening for noises as far as your timing chain tensioner is concerned. Then chances of you getting stranded on the side of the road are very slim if you stay ahead of these issues. Now, I think the reputation that these cars have is really because of the owners, right? Typically, the people who purchase these cars are not too concerned with, performing regular maintenance on them, like on a regular basis. And so I think the reputation that these cars have is actually a bit misleading, because yes, it is a high maintenance car, meaning, you'll go through your tires, your brakes, your cooling system components, random wear and tear items like spark plugs, random gaskets here and there. You will go through that. But the chances of this car leaving you stranded on the side of the road is very slim. And typically that only happens to, in my experience, people that neglect these cars. And so what has it costed to maintain a car like this over its lifetime? Well, so I have all of the service records for this car since it's been from brand new. I have every single service record for this car from the time it was new to now. And this car has costed around $25,000 to maintain. And so over the course of 16 years, for the kind of car that this vehicle is, I mean, those are pretty good numbers for what you're getting here. And as you can see, it's a bit dirty. I kind of wanted to leave it this way before I did this review, just to kind of show like, hey, this is my daily driver. I do have another car. I have a 2019 Honda Civic Type R that I drive on the weekends or drive on sunny days, but this is really my workhorse vehicle. Like, this is the car I'm taking to work every day. This is the car that I drive to the gym. If I have to go on a long road trip, I'll take this car. I've done some light off-roading with this car up in Los Gatos here in the Bay Area and the mountains, and it performed extremely well. And you know, this kind of vehicle is really one of those cars that, in my opinion, I think it actually just looks better with a little dirt on it, some scratches here and there, the oxidized taillights. Like, I just think this is one of those cars that, you know, just looks satisfying, like the dirtier it gets, you know, like all the little scratches and the bumps and bruises, like I'd argue actually gives the car some character. Yeah, all of the like little cuts, the little oxidation on the paint, I think it all kind of makes the car look better in a way, right? Like, it gives it a little bit of character. And personally, I don't baby the car that much. I mean, I try my best to take care of it, to look after it, but again, it's my daily driver, so I don't expect everything to look perfect, and I don't mind the little scratches and scrapes and the door dings. But you know, honestly, for a car of this caliber, like, you can pick one of these up relatively cheap, right? I mean, like, we're talking anywhere from $7,000 to like upwards of $20K for nice examples, for like the high-end autobiography trims. And like, for what you're paying, there's just nothing that on the market that compares to this car. I mean, it's a 4x4. You can go anywhere, do anything. It's extremely comfortable inside, and it's really capable. And it has all the technology that you would need for it to feel like a very comfortable daily driver. And so, what is it like to drive? I spoke about this during my first review. It's extremely smooth, really capable, really engaging to drive. It feels like, I mean, a lot of the reviewers have said, like, it feels similar to like a large tractor. You know, I mean, it feels that way. It feels kind of like a large tractor with leather seats, basically. But it's extremely smooth. You know, it's really capable. Now I'll get into what went wrong during my ownership. And so during the last year I've had with this car, I've had to replace all 4 tires. I've got the front brake pads, front brake rotors replaced. I had developed an oil leak on the driver's side valve cover gasket, so I had to get that addressed. And while the shop was in there, they went ahead and replaced the water pump, the thermostat, the expansion tank, and all the various hoses that come with that. We figured, like, okay, they're already in there, we might as well just replace these parts. But they did mention some of the components were beginning to seep, so not necessarily leak, but it was beginning to weep, and a leak was eventually going to develop. What else? I've gotten the spark plugs replaced. I do all the oil changes myself every 5,000 miles, and I've replaced random things here and there, like the PCV valves, all of the air filters, things of that sort. But overall, over the last year that I've had with this car, it's been pretty rock solid, reliable. Now granted, like I said, it's a high maintenance vehicle. You have to constantly be alert and be aware of, you know, random noises and things that occur with this car. But for a daily driver, I mean, I can't complain. And this is my second Land Rover, so I had a full-size Range Rover 2012 that I drove for about 10,000 miles. So in total, I've spent about 25,000 miles altogether in various Land Rover products. And I gotta say, man, like, I'm a believer, man. Like, if you know these cars, then you know that they have somewhat of a cult following, especially this generation of Land Rover, the boxy style. But ultimately, like, if these cars were so terrible, they wouldn't have such a cult following, right? And now, you know, all that to say, like, yeah, maybe maybe we're wrong, right? And these cars are pieces of shit, but ultimately, you know, what are the trade-offs for to daily drive something like this, right? I mean, for one, your consumables are much more expensive. So the tires, the brakes, your oil, your fuel consumption is really bad. So I'm averaging like 13 miles a gallon, anywhere from 13 to like 18 miles a gallon. The best mileage I've gotten out of this car has been on a long road trip. I got 20 miles a gallon, which was pretty good for the kind of car that this is. But ultimately, the trade-off for daily driving a car like this is your consumables are more expensive. Everything costs a bit more to maintain and replace. The parts are extremely expensive, especially if you're buying OEM Land Rover. But overall, I mean, again, there's just nothing that drives like this car. I mean, on the road, you sit high up, you have visibility all four corners, feels super smooth, really plush, really quiet. The audio system is insane, and then you've got heated steering wheel, heated seats. The sound ending is really good in here, so on long highway drives, like, it doesn't, the wind noise, the tire noise, the road noise, it doesn't wear down on you. And man, overall, like, if I could go back, I mean, what are some of the things that you should be mindful of when you're looking at a car like this? I mean, you should definitely look at the ownership history. If the car just seems like it's been neglected, it doesn't have service records, it's got, like, you know, shoddy parts, then I would steer clear. I mean, there are plenty of examples that were well maintained and taken care of, so I would just be patient when buying a car like this. But ultimately, you know, there are just some things that you gotta be aware of, like the air suspension. That is a wear item, and so it's just like any other suspension component, it will fail at some point. Now this car is still on the original air suspension, and luckily so far it's been pretty good. It's on the original air suspension and the original air compressor, and so far it's held up over almost 120,000 miles. Now the cooling system tends to be a weak point for this car as well, so all of the usual suspects, so the water pump, the thermostat, expansion tank, the hoses. Other major item is, of course, the timing chain tensioner guides. So I've read mixed signals about this online. I mean, there are people online who claim to be on like upwards of 200,000 miles on the original chain and the original guide, and there are some who claim they fail at like 70,000 miles. And so I guess your mileage may vary. I mean, again, there are warning signs for your timing chain, for whether or not your timing chain will fail. And so on cold starts, you'll hear it rattling. When you shut off the car, you'll hear the rattle kind of like as it shuts off. And so there are plenty of videos online that can show you what that will sound like. My experience has been the timing chain tensioner guide problem may be overblown. And so hear me out. Like, if you have short oil change intervals, like this car has had 5,000 mile oil changes for its entire life. Like, I have all of the maintenance records from when it was brand new, and every 5,000 miles this car has had its oil changed. And so far, I mean, the timing chain is really healthy. I've had 2 different Land Rover independent shops take a look at it, and it's been pretty solid. And I even spoke to a pretty reputable Land Rover shop here in the Bay Area, and they mentioned, yeah, the timing chain tensioner issue, like, that tends to be something that's overblown. And so, for example, one of the owners there mentioned, I mean, over the last 15 years that he's worked at this shop, he's only done maybe like 10. And so now take that as you will. Like, who knows, maybe the people who've blown up their timing chains like end up not getting them replaced. But at the end of the day, more often than not, like, I think the people who have issues with this car are going to be more vocal about them, of course, right? And so your mileage may vary. But overall, man, I mean, I'd say as a daily driver, as a capable off-roader, like, there's just nothing that can compare to this car. I mean, it's super smooth. You know, we've got all the space, all the amenities that we could ever need, and yeah, overall, man, it's been really solid. I've been extremely happy with my ownership experience, and honestly, I'm a Land Rover believer for life, man. Like, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid for sure, but there's something about these cars, man. I mean, once you get behind the wheel of a Range Rover or any Land Rover product, you just get it. Like, you understand why people love these cars so much. I mean, you feel super safe, you feel really secure, you see everything on the road. It's really smooth, really quiet. Any weather condition you can just get through no problem, and it's unbeatable, man. At the end of the day, I mean, just look at that. Look how quiet that sounds. Wow. I mean, just really smooth, no problem. Yeah, I mean, this car even has, like, it just has little amenities here and there that make it much more pleasant to drive every day. So, I mean, the heated seats, the heated steering wheel, that's one thing, but this car actually comes with a crotch vent. So there's actually a vent right underneath the steering wheel that blows air into your crotch area. I mean, like, there's no other car that does that has like little features like that to make your life a little easier. But yeah, man, I mean, out of the two cars that I have today, I've got the 2019 Type R and I've got this Range Rover Sport. If I had to get rid of one, I'm getting rid of the Type R for sure. I mean, even though, like, objectively speaking, that car is the more reliable daily driver, it's easier to maintain, it's super parts are super cheap, it's easy to work on. You know, it fulfills, like, it ticks all those boxes. Hey, look, Type R, F05. Like, it just ticks all those boxes that you need out of a daily driver, you know, and it's got a manual transmission too, so that's a plus. But I would say, you know, for my needs, for where I'm at in my life currently, like, this Range Rover Sport, this is staying with me until the day it's done. And I hope that I have many more years and many more miles with this car, because this is the best daily driver I've ever had. I mean, truly, I've driven a lot of cars. I've owned like over 10 cars throughout my lifetime, and this is for sure, hands down, the best daily driver I've ever driven, because for all the reasons I've mentioned above, right? I mean, and what's insane to me is, I mean, this car, for how well it drives, for how well it performs, for the entire package that the entire package you're getting with this car, I mean, it's so cheap. I mean, I've seen these as low as like $8,000, and then I've seen really clean examples for like 14 grand. And so it's insane. I mean, for what you're getting with this car, I mean, I understand why people are afraid to drive these cars, because yeah, the truth is they're not for everyone. Like, you know, if you're on a shoestring budget, if you live paycheck to paycheck, if you don't even want to worry about, you know, your car maintenance, then this car isn't for you, quite frankly. Like, this type of car is really for people who enjoy learning about cars, learning about how to maintain their vehicle, learning about how all the components work, the service interval, like, you know, the shelf life of all these parts. I mean, I think the type of person that would enjoy owning and driving a car like this is the same kind of person who is just naturally curious about cars, you know, who isn't afraid to get their hands dirty, to learn a thing or two about their vehicle. That's the kind of owner that would enjoy a car like this. Because if you're the kind of person who just wants a carefree ownership experience, you want to ignore service intervals, you want just basically like a simple motoring experience, then yeah, like, stay away from this car for sure. But for, you know, someone who is into cars or just wants a nice ride, and isn't afraid to learn a thing or two about it, then, I mean, this is the perfect car, I would argue, right? There's nothing that comes close to the value proposition that you're getting with a car like this for what you're paying. And, like, you know, the whole Land Rover brand as a whole, I mean, it's just, it has a cult following for sure. Like, I mean, the classic like 1990s Land Rover Defender, like a Defender 90, those things, like objectively speaking, I mean, they drive terrible. Like, there's no sound deadening, you don't have any airbags, you know, it's like creaky, it's like old, it's not really refined. But those cars are like, you know, upwards of like 80 grand, and they like objectively drive worse than this Range Rover Sport. But dude, at the end of the day, those Defender 90s, the new ones and the old ones, I mean, they're so clean. Like, those are super clean cars, and I would love to have that in my garage one day. But I bring that example up to show and to demonstrate that, like, Land Rover enthusiasts, like, they're some of the most like die-hard fans out there. All of the Land Rover owners that I've met are really loyal to the brand, and so like more often than not, when they get rid of their Land Rover, they're getting into another Land Rover. And so, I mean, that should speak volumes, right? Like, the fact that, you know, this is a car that has a reputation for being the least reliable brand. Like, it's, you know, everyone says, like, you own one of these, you're basically asking for bankruptcy. And, like, you know, despite all that, like, the owners still keep coming back to this brand. And so I think personally, like, that should tell you something about the brand. That should tell you something about the driving experience of the car. Like, it's worth putting up with all the BS that this car and that this brand puts you through, right? Like, it's just that good. Like, you're willing to put up with it because there's nothing like it. But this car has the 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 and the ZF 6-speed transmission. Both pretty solid, pretty reliable. The car, I think, was rated for about 375 horsepower from the factory. I forget what the torque numbers are, but I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. This car is so old and so heavy that, like, you know, you're not going to win any drag races with this car for sure, especially the naturally aspirated version. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, it moves. This car will get up and go. You can maneuver through traffic, no problem. But that being said, you're not going to feel like you're in a rocket ship in this car. You know, if you want speed, then you definitely should get into the supercharged version of these cars. But if you want simplicity, reliability, ease of maintenance, then I recommend going with the naturally aspirated V8. But yeah, overall, if I could sum up my ownership experience, it's been extremely enjoyable. I'm enjoying driving this car every day, even with high gas prices, right? Like, you know what you're paying for when it comes to driving this car. And so even with the high gas prices, the high maintenance costs, you know, all of the inconveniences that come with driving a car like this, I mean, I'm willing to put up with because it's that good. And, you know, like I said, like, I was in a 2012 full-size Range Rover previously, and I was rear-ended in that car. The lady that rear-ended me was in a Lexus RX 350, and I was at a stoplight, and she hit me going 40 miles an hour, full speed into my rear end. And yeah, I mean, that car was totaled because there was frame damage, but the damage on her car was way worse than the damage on my full-size Range Rover. And so ultimately, like, you know, I ended up sustaining an injury from that. Unfortunately, I got ended up getting a 4mm disc extrusion on my L5 S1 disc. And so the doctors, the radiologists, the surgeons, like, they all mentioned that you know, being in a Range Rover saved my life, because ultimately, if the tear had been 6mm, okay, and remind you, the tear was 4mm. So if the tear had been 6mm, then they would have had to have done surgery. And because it was only 4mm, I got away with basically doing extensive rehab, physical therapy, and I'm gravy. I still have pain here and there a year later, but ultimately, had I been in a different car, then my outcome would have been much different. And, you know, the doctors agree that being in a almost 6,000-pound Range Rover definitely contributed to the, you know, minimizing the damage to my body. And so, you know, it's stories like this that really make you realize, like, hey, like, you can drive any car out there. You can drive, you know, an economy car. You can drive an enthusiast car, a small car, whatever. But I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter what car you drive, right? Like, if you get into an accident and, you know, completely not your fault, then yeah, you could end up with the short end of the stick. And that whole experience just taught me that at the end of the day, like, you know, you can drive whatever you want, but, you know, there's just something to be said about these big, heavy cars. And unfortunately, like, you know, that's just where the automotive industry is going. Like, you know, cars are getting larger, unfortunately. They're getting heavier, and, you know, as a result, they're a lot more dangerous, right? They're heavier, they're larger, and you know, at the end of the day, like, you have to do what feels right for you and your family. And for me, like, I'm happy to pay, you know, I'm happy to pay for the poor fuel economy. I'm happy to pay for the expensive maintenance cost if it means that in the event of an accident, me and my family can walk away, like, mostly unscathed. Then yeah, to me, that's a worthy trade-off, right? Because you can't put a price on peace of mind. But yeah, overall, man, like, this car has been amazing to own. It's the best daily driver I've ever owned, and you should 100% get one if you're in the market for one. Peace out.